Hello. Let's do that. How's it going, everybody? It's me. Hey, I did bring my glasses. Perfect. It's me, Comic Crack. Little live stream that I'd scheduled and then got distracted. And I just watched, my son bought the Swans documentary. So he's been a big fan of Swans for a little while now and been listening to all their records. And he bought the documentary, and it came, I don't know, about a week ago, or maybe it was just this past week. Don't remember exactly when it came. 2 discs. The documentary itself is like 161 minutes. Then it's got a second disc filled with bonus features. That's like another 156 minutes. So we watched the first disc, and it's incredible. Really, really incredible. I've known about the Swans throughout my life. Never been a huge fan. Didn't really dive into much of their music. There was a couple albums that I did gravitate towards. One being Michael Gira's Drainland album, which was pretty incredible. And then I've listened to an album with my son, and he literally just told me the name about 20 minutes ago, and I can't remember already. But anyway, and it was incredible. And it feels like this is a different phase, the stuff that we were listening to. And in the documentary, they focus a lot of it on their final show. Dude, pretty impressive stuff. Like, even watching the documentary, there's this feeling that comes through with their music. It's pretty impressive, I gotta say. And then today there was 2 live streams. I put on my Rooted Confrontations gig, and that was amazing. Had some incredible performances. Anti-Ear, Skullcaster, Sharky Face, Fletcher Pratt, and then a local guy, AUOH, performed, and that was a lot of fun. And then I had a piece play in Brutal Sound Effects Fest, number 90. And that was a pretty great show. I was doing other things, like we were having dinner and I was making soup and that sort of thing. So I was kind of listening in, catching what performances I could, but what I caught was amazing as always. And it was really great to be a part of that festival. I've been a fan of that kind of stuff and that Brutal Sound Effects crew for a long time. So it was nice to participate. But the other thing that I did today, which we're going to be talking about, is I went and did a huge trade with Greg here in town. So I've been going through the boxes. I deleted every comic in my app because at this point, or when I did delete it at that point, I had gotten rid of so many books, and I forgot to edit them out of the app, that I figured it would just be best to start again. So I'm pretty much through this entire shelf right now. A couple more boxes at the bottom to go through. But as I was going through, I found some doubles. I found some stuff that, you know what, it's incomplete series and it's only a few issues. And am I ever really going to buy the whole series? And if I am, was I thinking of buying it as graphic novels? So I made 2 pretty sizable stacks of books to trade away. So before that kind of happened, though, as I was kind of starting this process and I had a few things, just a small stack, Greg sent out his magazine list. He's been spending the last, I don't know, year or 2 cataloging all his books, all his comics, and then putting them into various lists. The one that came out most recently was magazines, fanzines, art books, etc., those type of things. And when he first sent it out, I had a very, very quick look through it, just kind of did a quick scan. And in that kind of 2 or 3 minutes where I was scanning it, there was like many holy shit moments, looking and seeing titles on there. So when I sat down and actually went through the list and kind of made my own notes, had a pretty sizable list, cut that down by a couple of books, and went through as I was going through my comics with even more of a critical eye, like, can this stay or does this need to go, So ended up bringing him the 2 stacks. He let me bring home the stack. He's going to get back to me during the week, and we're going to see where I sit for trade value. So I want to go through these books with you because there's some fucking incredible stuff in here. And again, like stuff that I haven't found that often, or when I do find it, it's online, it's pricier. I don't really feel like paying it. This is an ideal situation. I feel like I have some really good stuff to trade, so I think it benefits him as well as me. So let's just tuck into it, and let's just start off with fucking, like I still look at this book and I can't believe I have it in my hands. Common Type of Barflies, Basil Wolverton. I mean, what can I say? I've leafed through this at least a half a dozen times already at this point. It's in fucking incredible shape. I'm so excited to have this in my collection. I literally can't believe that I'm sitting here holding this in my hands. So this was 1974 from Wolverton Enterprises. A little forward by Dr. Robert Slobert. And there's a picture of him, photo of him, giving a little forward. And then I'm guessing at this point, a number of you know what this book is. One page kind of gags. Common Types of Barflies. With a bunch of incredible Wolverton art. Absolute madness. Love it. Absolutely love it. So that was, hey, Weird Dad, how's it going, man? Really just, I don't know, man. I'm still just stunned. And that'll probably be the reaction for a number of things in in this little conversation. Talked about Reid Fleming on the channel before. This is blown. Yeah. Oh no, not at all. You just wait. This is Heartbreak Comics. And then on the back we get some Reid Fleming. There is Reid Fleming in here, but this was it. This was the first. What do we got here? 1984. Had to flip through this already too, and I know that I'm gonna love it. I love Reid Fleming. I love Boswell's art is really great. He does this thing with lighting and shading on people's faces where, if that's gonna focus, maybe if it takes up the whole screen. Anyway, how often do you watch my videos and you see me fucking around with this shit? It really just gets irritating. Anyway, focus, you cunt. Sorry, apologies to your sons and daughters and nephews and neighbors. He does this thing with shading where it's just these lines, a series of lines on the side of the face, and I think it looks incredible. Works really, really well. So I'm looking forward to tucking into this. So Heartbreak Comics. Finally, a long time ago, I found one issue of this, issue number 2 of this Kelly Green series, and I just never have found any of the other books. And then recently on Gore Vidal's channel, he was talking about the collected version. And I guess the collected version of this has a 4th book that was previously unpublished, which I'll get for sure at some point. But I'm really glad to find these two. All the, I don't know, years ago, I don't know how many years ago it was that I got book 2. I did read it and enjoyed it quite a bit. So I'm looking forward to kind of putting it in the context of all 3 books at once. From our friends at, Dargod. So book 2 and 3 of Kelly Green there. There's a look at book 3 with some really nice illustrations on the front. Pretty much any European stuff I can find, I'm going to give a shot. He only had one of these, but this is Valerian, again from Dargod. Book number, doesn't say, but it's Ambassador of the Shadows is what it says on the front there. I haven't read any Valerian. I did see that movie that came out. Again, it's one of those things, I don't have an attachment to the comic whatsoever, so I enjoyed the movie. My son and I watched it, and I enjoyed it well enough. Didn't blow me away, but I didn't hate it either. I thought it was enjoyable. But I'm looking forward to tucking into this. And again, I mean, just the European stuff just doesn't make it. So I think it's me and 2 other people in this city who buy it all up. Another in the Jeremiah series, which I love. I've got the hardcover. I've talked about it on here before. And another volume 1 of the Survivors. So this is volume 2 of the Survivors. If you don't know the Jeremiah series, seriously, really, I love it. I think it's fantastic. So I'm excited about this one. And when I flipped through it earlier, I don't recognize the story, because I also have some single issue comics as well too of Jeremiah, and I think those single issues are collected in the omnibus, because I believe those single issues were Dark Horse as well, because the omnibus that I have, the volume 1 omnibus anyway, is Dark Horse, and it makes me think I should be looking into picking up the other volumes. Just great stories and really good gritty art. I just placed an order on Book Depository to get a couple more volumes of Thorgal that I was missing, and another one by Herman as well. Or was it Herman or was it Van Ham? I don't remember actually, now that I'm saying that out loud, called Western, which I've heard, I think, Earl Grey talking about before. And the first, I'm not very well versed in comic strips, especially these older strips. I do have, I don't know, half a dozen of these Nemo Classic Libraries. This is the first issue. It was put out by Fantagraphics, and it's exactly that. It's a collection of strips. There's also articles here. Let's see. The Forgotten Years of George Harriman, an article, and then also strips in this one, Gasoline Alley being one of them. What else? Hagar the Horrible, Tracy Twins, Dot and Dash, Polly and Her Pals. So yeah, that'll be, and of course Terry and the Pirates. And like I said, it's a huge gap in my knowledge when it comes to comics history. I know nothing about that stuff, so that'll be great to tuck into that. Excitingly for me, book number 5 of Love and Rockets. So I've got 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, 2, 3, and 4. So I can carry on House of Raging Women. I can carry on with my Love and Rockets reading. Loved those first 3 volumes. I know I'm not selling it and telling you anything that you don't already know. If you don't know Love and Rockets, or if somehow you missed the boat like I did for some insane reason, who the hell knows why, tucking in is the best way. Just dive right in. I think it's often the case where you feel like tackling a series that has a lot of history and maybe a lot of issues, and feels like it's something that is impenetrable, where you feel like maybe you have to start from the beginning. I would say obviously that's the great way to go, but I didn't feel jarred starting in on book 2 by any stretch. It still read really nicely, really funny, and just great. So looking forward to that read as well. It's funny how you make all this room on shelves and things, and kind of feels nice to get rid of some stuff, maybe some like dead weight, only to bring in another stack of books. Another one I've been looking for forever, Jan Sternad and Dennis Fujitaki and Tim Soliday. This is Children of the Night Tide. Fujitaki didn't do a ton of stuff, and this is one that's been on my list for a long time, and I just haven't even really seen it online as much. So looking forward to it and flipping through it. The Dennis Fujitaki story is the shorter of the 2 stories that are in here. Still really nice. Not kind of what I would consider the prime Fujitaki art. He has a very distinct style, and I'm not seeing it as much on display in here. Still excited about it, and we'll still give it a read, but I like his kind of vision. I think it was that Retief book that he did, and that screamed Fujitaki to me for sure. This doesn't as much, but I do like Jan Sternad as well. And then there's Tim Soliday for the backup story, or not the backup story, the second story rather. 2 Tales of Fantasy. And again, Fantagraphics. Continuing with Fantagraphics, I love Pete Bagg. Hate was the comic for me, but Neat Stuff always was as well too. It's not one that I was on top of right from the beginning. It was a little bit before my time when it came to picking up this kind of stuff. So I do have a few gaps. I think I've got about half of the issues. I think there was 15 issues. I need about 6 or 7, well, less now that I've got these ones here. But Neat Stuff number 3. Really looking forward to getting some more Pete Bagg. And there we go. Buddy and his brother laughing their ass off at Babs dancing in her own world in her room. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? And I mean, some of these stories I have read in collections, like flipping through. This is the one that I remember. Rock and Roll Refugee. Buddy Bradley was the character, and he just gets into record collecting. He gets into opening his own shop with a friend of his, this guy that he meets. But this was a great story, as his friend is buying these shitty records and he just can't deal with it. Look at that Pete Bagg art. So number 2 of Neat Stuff. Number 5 of Neat Stuff, featuring the rise and fall of Zoov Groover, which is a story that hasn't been reprinted in anything that I have. I'm sure it has been reprinted, but I don't know this story at all. So the bonus of picking up the actual issues, you do get some stuff. Here it is here. You do get some stuff that you haven't seen, or that maybe wasn't the kind of big story within the issue that it felt it was deserved to get a reprint of. Studs Kirby was a great character as well too. Junior, I enjoyed Junior, but Studs Kirby was great. I've got a collected edition of Studs that's pretty damn funny, kind of like a Radio Shock jock. And then finally for the neat stuff issues, issue number 7 with Studs bowling. Great image on there. Yeah, again. Oh, maybe this whole issue is Studs Kirby. Or at least half of it anyway. Yeah, Junior and Studs Kirby. So both of these I recognize because there has been some Junior comics as well. Neat stuff. And another one that I just have missed the boat on. Another issue of Lloyd Llewellyn, number 3. From Mr. Clowes. In this issue, the crazy hot rod dropouts from beyond Jupiter. Rad. There we go. Some Clowes goodness. A couple of underground titles. One that I've never even heard of before. Again, like I was talking when we're going through these underground comics, it's amazing how there's still stuff that pops up that I've never seen or heard of before. So this is the Kids Liberation coloring book from Last Gasp, filled with all sorts of underground artists. Kim Deitch, Justin Green, Trina Robbins, Rick Griffith, and it's uncolored and uncut. Over 50 pages. A little bit rough shape. It's a little wrinkly from a bit of water damage, but other than that, it's all there. And I mean, it's a collection, basically. I thought it would be kind of one page, you know, big full page drawings from those artists that kids were supposed to color in. Yeah, you can see on the bottom here some damage, but it's, oh, Werewolf, how are you, man? But it's also collections of kind of comic strips, just black and white. I guess you could call it, color them in. So not really what I expected. I expected more stuff like this, you know, just with crazy underground comics artists doing the work instead. Oh, and then of course Trina with her paper dolls, which she was all about. And you'll see that in a minute as well when we dig into some Trina Robbins stuff I picked up. Some Eclipse stuff. That ain't going in there, so not going to struggle with that. Just put it over there. Got a bunch of the comic-sized issues of this, but I guess I didn't realize the early issues were magazine size. So this is number 2. I think maybe just the first 2 issues, because I want to say that I have issue number 3. Little back cover. And it's a good kind of, not quite underground, I guess. I don't know what they call it, main level, not underground, not indie, but you know, something bridging that gap. Ground level is the term I'm looking for. And I think the first story, oh, this one stood out to me here. Some really interesting layering with blacks and grays. I love the way that looks. That little lighter gray image right on top of that really dark black image behind. Amazing, amazing mix. Yeah, and that's what I thought. And of course, it wouldn't be any sort of anthology of the Strange from that time without some Corbin. So there's your Richard Corbin contribution in this one. And it doesn't look familiar to me. Voluptus doesn't look like It's been reprinted. So 1975, Herb Arnold and Richard Corbin. Yeah, that you talking that black and white there, Weird Dad? So yeah, this looks like a stellar contribution. There's some more of that story there. So that was a nice find. One that I had no idea about, and it was 70s Underground Comics or 70s Comics. I can't remember what his handle is on Twitter, but he showed this off, and the cover stood out to me. And he was telling me about it. So Promethean Enterprises from 1973, 1974. Oh yeah, so this is number 5 of this series with a Robert Williams cover there, and I'll fold it out in 1 second. And this is a sturdy, thick book. So there you go. There's the fold out Robert Williams cover. Pretty cool. And the other thing that stood out to me in here was this middle section. So let's see how I can do this here to get this middle section with some flaps. And this is not paper stock. This is almost cardstock, and this is Victor Moscoso with a fold-out strip. And I know I've seen this before. I don't remember if it was, maybe it was just the same characters, maybe in an issue of Zap, or maybe it was in that, was it Color Comics, the one that he did? But I do recognize at least a couple of the characters. These couple of lines here for sure. So maybe it was reprinted in Zap. But this looks incredible. And I will absolutely be looking for... unfortunately, I can't read the signature on that one on the back. This is one I'll definitely be looking for more copies. Kenneth Smith is also in here too, if I'm not mistaken. If this was the one. Oh no, maybe he's in Anomaly. He's probably in the other one coming up here, actually. So here we get some Robert Crumb. And then the small businessman, written by Bob Condon, illustrated by Robert Crumb. I mean, I'm not up to date. I'm not the most up to date when it comes to Crumb stuff, but I don't recognize that. So I'm wondering if that's from earlier in his career. It was signed Inwood there at the end of the last page. Let's actually go to the front, see if we have a credits. So we have George Metzger, Bob Inwood for the cover. Sorry, why did I was sure that was Robert Williams. No, it says Robert Williams. Yeah, no, cover Robert Williams. Sorry. Frank Brunner, George Metzger, Keith Klespies, Clifford Neal, Victor Moscoso, Bob Inwood, Trina Robbins, or it says Trina, I'm assuming Trina Robbins, Vince Davis, Keith Klespies. What else do we have? Alex Nino with the back cover, Alex Nino. So a stacked book. and a real beefy sucker too at that. So beautiful. So Anomaly I've got, and the first few issues again were magazine size. So this is Anomaly number 3. Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things that when you get these books and it looks like they just haven't been touched. Generally, when you're finding this stuff, it's beat to hell, but this looks like it just hasn't been touched. And there we go. We get an ad for Phantasmagoria as well too by Kenneth Smith. And then I believe there's a piece in here by Kenneth as well too. And of course, we get some more Corbin, who's about to become a little bit of focus in this here video. Yeah, here's the Kenneth Smith, right? Yeah, absolutely. There's the Kenneth Smith contribution. R.G. Krenkel, a portfolio. So half a dozen pages of portfolio and just full pieces or full pages. An interview with an animator, I believe, Robert Klein. Maybe not animator, unless there was some animated cells back there, but an article with Robert Klein, and then some pieces as well too, some art samples. So that's really cool. So that's Anomaly number 3. Here we go. Okay, so Fantagor Press. This is Brood. The stories in this, I think all of them were reprinted in other Fantagor publication. Well, now that I'm having a second look, that last story, definitely not. But the first one, yes, the Jeremy Brood. But then oh, fucking hell. Like, look at that. The guy's an absolute fucking beast. It was his 80th birthday the other day. Like, look at this shit. I don't know, man. I don't know how you can be so goddamn good and still not get nearly half the praise that I personally feel he should for a career in comics and design and etc. Unfucking believable. So anyway, that is exciting, absolutely, but it is not as exciting as this motherfucker hardcover Bloodstar. And again, like, this was when I scanned through the list the first time. When I saw this and I saw a couple of other things, there was some Tim Truman stuff in there too. When I saw those jump out at me, that's when I knew, like, okay, I've got to get my shit sorted. I got to get my shit together here and figure out how I'm going to get this stuff before it. The thing with his lists is it not only goes here in town, but he's got people on a mailing list. So I just know that I have limited time. If there's a new list, I'm going to have limited time to jump on some of this stuff. So this is a science fiction fantasy adventure in words and pictures, illustrated and adapted by Richard Corbin, original story by Robert E. Howard. And from the inside flap here, Bloodstar is a new revolutionary concept, a graphic novel which combines all the imagination and visual power of comic strip art with the richness of the traditional novel. And then what do we got? We have, so this was numbered. There was only 5,000 of these done. So this is number 1729. And let's see if we can get a year. First printing 1976. So we get a little bit of an intro. And then a little piece on Robert E. Howard. and we jump right into it. I hesitate to open this the whole way. Not that it feels super fragile, but last thing I want to do is crack a spine on this. So, yeah, I mean, this is the shit right here. Like, yeah, you're just not finding this shit. It's amazing when you start to get to know some of the comic guys in your town, what you can find or what they had access to or stuff that they've grabbed from collections or their own collections over the years. Some Eclipse stuff. I was just reading about this series the other day, actually, on that Eclipse website where the guy read everything and he does kind of reviews of everything. So Merchants of Death was coming out the same time as that Aces magazine, which I only have one issue of as well, or one or two issues. And this one was European artists doing series, and they were going to have them in a bunch of them, and it didn't last forever. I can't remember, was it 5 or 6 issues? And when he was reviewing it, he said there was good and bad. Some of the bad that he thought on his reading was the reproduction, that there was some people's art that he didn't think got reproduced as well. He said the stories in general and everything was still great to have access to, again, especially at this time. But at times he found the reproduction a little fucking rough. And then when I flip open to the middle here, just seems to be a guy that's popping up all over the place for me. A Soldier of Fortune, The Liberators story, Alfredo Grassi, art, Enrique Breccia. So some more Breccia. And this time in color. So a color section of his work, which will be, and I've had a quick look through this and it still looks pretty stunning, but not as impactful as his, as the black and white work for sure. From what I remember from that article, I think these were all continuing stories, and I don't remember if they were all brand new or if they were reprints or what, but for the most part, they were continuing stories. Oh, look, and there's the ads for Alex Toth's Zorro. So yeah, that's pretty great. Merchants of Death, issue numero uno. And speaking of paper dolls and Trina, there's 2 Paper Dolls books here from Eclipse. So this is Paper Dolls from the comics. Oh, hey, Gore, how are you doing, man? Okay. My apologies, Gore. You're absolutely right. That is what he said in the article as well, to the Sun. Yeah. That's it. Thank you very much for that correction there, Gore. And now that you're saying that, that is what he said, that it is his son and his line wasn't as good as his dad's. And maybe it also had to do with the reproductions as well, too. Thank you very much, Gore. Good timing, good information. Thank you. So this first one from Trina of Paper Dolls from the comics, this is from older comic strips, so a collection of older strips, and the Paper Dolls attached. So we get things like Katie Keene with some stunning artwork there. The Gumps. Miss Fury. So it looks like for the most part, you get a page with the paper dolls with a little bit of a paragraph about the comic book character Terry and the Pirates, Jane Arden, Smilin' Jack, and on and on. So she compiled this one. And then I guess at around this time as well, she was doing the California Girls series. So then she also did a California Girls Paper Dolls book or magazine as well. So this one has some on the back cover and then pretty much the same layout. A little profile on each of the characters and then a paper doll with some outfits for each of the characters as well. You know, I like Trina's work just fine. I'm not crazy about this paper doll stuff. But hey, what are you going to do? It's Eclipse. I need to finish collecting them all, so here you have it. And then some more Eclipse. This is Robert E. Howard, Pigeons from Hell, adapted by Scott Hampton, introduction by Ramsey Campbell. For stark living fear, the actual smell and feel and darkness and brooding horror and impending doom, what other writer is even in the running with Robert E. Howard? And that's from H.P. Lovecraft. Known throughout the world as the creator of Conan the Barbarian, Robert E. Howard in Pigeons from Hell turned his attention from the adventures to the ghastly. Deep in the midst of the Great Depression, two New Englanders seek a brief respite. Little do they know when they bed down in an abandoned antebellum manor that their southern vacation will turn into an unforgettable night of terror. So there you go. There's some of the interiors of that one. Boom. Fucked up, son. You done been fucked up. Continuing with our Eclipse books, John Bolton, back down the line. So when I read his little description, he was saying that this was a collection of, I thought he said that it was a collection of stuff that he did for Marvel, but then I started flipping through it and saw boobies everywhere and figured I must have misread that little description. This looks fantastic. Like seeing stuff like this. They got there was a couple of other John Bolton books in the Eclipse library, just kind of comic sized though. So it's nice to see this a little bit bigger. And I don't recognize any of the stories in these that would have been in that comic. So I'm guessing this is different material than is collected in that. Even some black and white work there. And last but not least, another really exciting from Four Winds / Eclipse, books 1 and 2 of Tim Truman's. Sorry. Okay. Epic Magazine. Yeah. Okay. This is Tim Truman's Wilderness, the true story of Simon Girty, Renegade. So this is volume 1. And again, the thing that you have to do when you have a YouTube channel is knock when it's a hardcover. So Four Winds was Tim Truman's own publishing imprint and then distributed through Eclipse. And again, I'm not a fan of dust jackets, and especially when there's beautiful work like this hidden underneath that dust jacket. I'd much rather they got rid of the goddamn dust jacket. Yeah, Tim Truman. I don't know, man. I've talked about him a lot. I'm not going to sit here and rave about him again. I am looking forward to tucking into this, though. Books 1 and 2. So there's book number 1. And then book number 2. Bloody Ground. The Death of a People, The End of an Era, The Origins of a Nation, and in the heart of it all, a man called the White Savage, Simon Girty. Timothy Truman's Wilderness is already being called an American classic by people like Joe R. Lansdale, Alan W. Eckert. Let's have a look there. These are pungent. And finally, unfortunately, one that was my mistake. I'll have to get in touch with them. I haven't taken it out of the package. Tecumseh, another Tim Truman Eclipse book. I actually already have a copy of this buried on the shelf. When I saw it on the list, I didn't recognize as having it. So I'll talk to Greg. But so that's it, my friends. That is the incredible stuff that I managed to get my greedy little paws on. And then we'll see what he comes back with a trade value. You know, I could always give that list another look over. And like I said, he's got a bunch of lists out there. So I'll probably reach out to him again. And if I'm missing any, I think he had an alternative comics list. I'm pretty sure I still have that one on the computer. But see what else I can grab from those. Depending again on how much trade I have. This was a substantial amount of money for these books here. He was going to give me a deal if I paid cash, which I always appreciate. A hell of a guy. Yeah, a hell of a guy. I really like him. He's a really nice guy. He knows a lot about this shit. He's a staple in Winnipeg history. Always good to go visit him. Thanks very much, Greg. Thanks very much, guys, for watching. I appreciate it. I'm going to sit and I'm going to start reading. Tuck into some gore. Yeah, no, I know that's it. Sorry. Yeah. Thanks, Weird Dad. Thanks, Gore Vidal. Thanks, Werewolf. And we'll talk